Hey guys, so it's about a month on since the last video. I've been slacking a bit with getting everything sorted and getting everything ready, so just wanted to run through an update on how the old Barra Turbo Conversion is going so far. Since last time, I had to wait a little bit to get on the dyno and get it tuned, so I was driving around off booth for a while, which was great for fuel economy but very hard for the self-control. Eventually got it on the dyno, and we ran into issues with fuel pretty much straight away. So I think we were running about 5 or 6 pound of boost, and injectors were working flat out to just be rich enough. The mixtures were quite off, like it was on the leaner side. Fuel pressure was fine, so that was when we really found out that the non-turbo pumps are different to the turbos. So I tried to do as much research as possible beforehand. Part of doing this whole build was basically to try and find out these things. So yeah, ran out of fuel, so fuel pump, but it was a stock fuel pump. I've changed it now. I've gone to a Walbro 255, I think it is, and the old one was pretty manky as well. I've got a photo here of it. I wiped down all of the crud off it before I took that photo as well, so that wasn't helping anything. So since then, done the fuel pump, put a new filter in it, hopefully getting it tuned in the next couple of days. So other than that, it's been flawless really. I haven't been wide open throttle on it really, because it's still not 100% safe, but runs no problems, runs very happy, so that's the main thing. Do want to add a little bit more boost. I think we didn't really get to complete a full dyno run last time. I think it was about 210, 215 kilowatt we made, and we backed it right off just because of the lack of fuel going there. So yeah, since then only did the fuel pump a couple of days ago, but I've actually gone and changed up the whole intake setup from the standard crossover, purely because there wasn't as much turbo noises as I wanted to get, and being the T51R modded pulsar turbo, that's part of the reason of going to T51R, is to get the really good induction noise, which now it's got. So basically I'll give it a quick run through what we've done. I found a second-hand aftermarket pipe. I think it was an Ants pipe, but there's a couple brands going around. Basically that reroutes all the way over here, and then down. So I've gone to a big front mount intercooler as well and ditched the return flow factory one. We've got a big 4-inch intake. Need to make an enclosure for that, need to make an isolator for the battery, just because I managed to trip the main power fuse, which I guess if anyone's worked on a Falcon before and knows about them, it's not the best thing to blow. So replaced that and it's all good now. Found out that the battery that I had in there was no good. It was quite low on health already. After rerunning it with, I guess, the longer power cables and all, couldn't quite crank it over, so ended up putting the battery out of my drift car in it for now, as a making it work. Drift car doesn't need to do anything for a couple of weeks, so I've got another battery for this very soon, which part of that obviously is running the new power cable. I know some kits, I'm pretty sure they get power straight off either the alternator or the starter, but I didn't really want to do that, so basically changed the terminals over, got them ready so I can put the isolator on very simply, run it down, followed the whole lube across the front and everything, and then up onto the battery here, which for that I just made like a small bracket to raise the battery up so there was room. Just super cheap battery tray and clamp, then ran an earth to the body and then another earth to the engine block, just after some recommendations on the battery now being over here and all of that has to travel from there all the way to the other side, so getting it onto the block just gives us much stronger earth, so we don't have any issues with power now, which is great. The front mount, it was a bit tricky to fit because I went and got a 600 by 300 just because that's what I'm used to using, I guess, but it became pretty clear why Most of the Falcon coolers are a 500 wide, I'm pretty sure it is. So had some issues with the aircon, managed to break one of the pipes off and right on the condenser, so ended up pulling the whole condenser out, which is a short-term solution. I'm going to get one of the coolers that are actually sort of made for these so that I don't have that issue, because aircon is a luxury feature, but it is quite nice, especially in the weather at the moment, so that's okay though. Yeah, other than that, it should be good. I think with the tune coming up, the fuel pump will be fine. Like, they're good for 500 horsepower or something. Still on 98, don't want to run E85 or anything, so that should be good. I bought a new set of injectors as well, so purely for the sake of these are probably the original ones that have been in the car for 20 odd years. Went up to a 760 or 780cc, so not a massive upgrade, but I'm going to run into internal issues with the engine before I run out of fuel now, so good to know. I think with the stock injectors, from sort of what I gathered, depending on who tunes it, where you go, dynos and everything like that, the stock injectors are the same as the turbos, which is good to know, but I think you hit about 250, 260 kilowatt on average from what I've read before they top out. So I went sort of, not the next size up, but a decent step up, so you know they wouldn't have to be running flat out just to, you know, for full boost. So the seven whatevers they were should be a good substitute. I'm pretty sure first issue I'm going to run into with the engine will be the valve springs, just from what I've heard. I'm not sure if it's the boost or the high RPM that they don't like, but from what I've gathered they just can't keep themselves shut. This car isn't going to see a lot of limiters, so I haven't worried about things like not timing gears, oil pump gears, sorry. And then the rods, being a BA motor, they've got the very weak rods in them, so you can only make so much power before the rods crack it and, you know, say hello to you out the side of the block. So that's not a concern. Even the power it's running now is great. It's something much more desirable over the non-turbo power that it had. Little things like towing will be nice just with that extra bit of grunt, but then having the nice turbo noises to all the innocent people walking past is great as well. So I'm hoping for somewhere in the mid 200 kilowatt. I think that's more than enough for street use and dailying and everything. Yeah, that's only going to cost more money in fuel and whatnot, so should be good. Should be good. So I wanted to give just a quick update on how the car's going. I didn't mean to include a bit more stuff, but life's chaotic, as everybody knows, so yeah, just a quick rundown. It's all going well. So yeah, the tune this week, hopefully that all goes well and all goes ahead, so I will document that a bit. Other than that, the only really problem we ran into, other than the fuel, was my lack of English skills. So the map sensors in these, when you change them to the 4-bar, you know, the upgraded one, the pinouts are back to front on the new plugs, and I misread it thinking that you had to repin it backwards, when it's really, you know, the first pin is the same as the 4th pin on the other map sensor, so you pretty much, but the plug's upside down, so you end up pinning it straight. Exactly. Anyway, confusing, but I made it a lot more difficult. I pinned it back to front. We were there chasing our tails for ages because I thought I'd pinned it right, but I had not, so I have to thank Dr. Drift for his patience with that one, because yeah, definitely a headache when it could have been easily avoided. So anyway, that's it for now. We'll get some videos of it on the dyno, see what we run into once it's getting tuned, but it should be good. I think it's pretty close to being finished, being on the pointy end of it all now, which is good. So yeah, thanks for watching. Sorry about the delay in the update. I'd really like to hear feedback on, you know, what power people have seen with the stock motors, you know, with the rods, with the valve springs, all of that sort of thing. Not that I want to go crazy, but it is, from what I've gathered, what I've gathered, it's a bit unknown, a bit hard to sort of figure out what's going on. So yeah, it's good to know. So just a quick one too, made a heat shield for this, so grabbed the non-turbo one, just sort of cut it up and bolted it in place, and it works out quite well, keeps the temps down. Haven't had any issues with heat and melting anything, so that is good. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, sorry about the delay, and I'll see you soon. See ya.